It was a normal evening in a quiet little town. The sky was turning dark, and the street outside looked calm. Inside a small house, a mother was preparing to leave for a short time. She had been working the whole day and felt tired, but she also wanted some fresh air. She thought it would not be a problem to leave her children alone for a while. Her two kids, Sarah, who was 8 years old, and her little brother David, who was only 5, were sitting in the living room. They were watching cartoons on the television and laughing together. The mother looked at them and smiled. She told Sarah, the elder one, "Take care of your brother. I will be back soon." Sarah nodded, feeling proud that she was trusted like a grown-up. The mother believed nothing bad could happen. The neighborhood was safe, and their house was locked properly. She put on her coat, picked up her bag, and walked out. The door clicked shut, leaving the children inside. At first, everything was completely normal. The kids were happy. Sarah gave David some cookies and milk, and they enjoyed their little snack together. They even made a small game, pretending they were the heroes in the cartoon they were watching. For a moment, the house felt warm, safe, and full of laughter. But in the corner of Sarah's heart, there was a small fear. She was only 8 years old, but she understood that being alone in the house at night was not easy. She tried to stay strong for her younger brother. David, on the other hand, was too innocent to feel afraid. He trusted his sister and continued playing happily. The evening passed quietly for a while, but something was about to change. The ordinary night would soon turn into the scariest memory of their lives. The house was quiet after their little snack. Sarah and David were still sitting in the living room, watching TV. The cartoons were loud, and the children laughed, but soon the laughter began to fade. Sarah suddenly heard something, a faint sound, almost like a creak. At first, she ignored it. Old houses make noises sometimes, she thought. Maybe it was just the wooden floor or the wind moving through the windows. But then she heard it again, this time clearer, like footsteps moving slowly upstairs. Her little brother, David, did not notice. He was busy playing with his toy car on the floor. Sarah turned down the TV volume, her heart beating faster. The sound came again, creak, creak, creak. It was not the TV, not the wind. Someone, or something, was moving inside the house. Sarah whispered, "David, did you hear that?" David shook his head and kept playing. "It's nothing," he said in his sweet little voice. But Sarah was not convinced. She hugged her knees and kept listening. The sound grew louder for a moment, then stopped completely, as if whoever was making it had suddenly frozen in place. The silence in the house became heavy. Sarah could even hear her own heartbeat. Trying to be brave, she told herself, maybe it's just the old stairs. Still, she could not shake the feeling that someone was watching them. David looked at his sister and asked, "Why are you so quiet?" Sarah forced a smile and said, "Nothing, just stay close to me." The two children sat together, holding onto each other while the TV flickered in the background. The noises had stopped, but the fear remained. That was the moment when Sarah realized the night was not going to be ordinary anymore. Something was inside their home. Sarah whispered, "Who could it be at this hour?" David whispered back, "Maybe Mom." But deep down, Sarah knew it couldn't be their mother. She never knocked when she came home. She always used her keys. Gathering a bit of courage, Sarah tiptoed toward the door with David holding her hand tightly. She slowly reached for the handle, but stopped halfway. Something inside her said, "Don't open it." Instead, she called out, "Who's there?" No one answered. Silence filled the air, heavier than before. Just when Sarah thought it was over, she saw a shadow move past the window. It was tall, slow, and frightening. David gasped and whispered, "Someone's outside." Sarah quickly pulled the curtains closed and stepped back. Her heart raced as the knocking started again, this time softer, slower, almost as if whoever was outside wanted to scare them. The children ran back to the living room and sat close together. David buried his face in Sarah's arms, whispering, "I don't like this." Sarah tried to stay strong, though she was just as terrified. After a few minutes, the knocking stopped. The house went silent again. But both children knew one thing for sure. The shadow outside was real. Someone had come to their door, and they had no idea why. The ordinary evening had now turned into a nightmare. Sarah held her little brother tightly after the strange knocking stopped. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't want David to see her fear. She remembered her mother's words, "Take care of your brother." That sentence gave her the courage to stay strong, even though she was only 8 years old. She whispered, "Don't worry, David. I'm here. Nothing will happen to you." David nodded slowly, still frightened, and clung to her like a small child who needed comfort. The first thing Sarah did was lock every door and window. She checked the front door twice, pulling the handle to make sure it was secure. Then she walked to the back door and closed it tightly. David followed her everywhere, holding her shirt with his tiny hand. When they returned to the living room, Sarah switched off the TV. The cartoons suddenly felt too loud, almost mocking the fear in the house. Now, the silence was even deeper. To feel safer, Sarah decided they should stay in one room together. She took David to their mother's bedroom because it was the biggest room in the house and had only one window. She closed the curtains and turned on the small lamp beside the bed. The warm yellow light gave them a little comfort. David asked softly, "Do you think Mom will be home soon?" Sarah smiled weakly and said, "Yes, very soon. We just have to be brave until then." But their safety did not last long. As they sat quietly, another sound began. This time, it was footsteps, slow, heavy, and coming from inside the house. The children froze. Sarah quickly put her arm around David and whispered, "Stay quiet." The sound grew louder, as if someone was climbing the stairs toward them. Sarah's bravery was about to be tested more than ever. The room was silent except for the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. Sarah and David sat frozen on the bed, their ears focused on the sound of footsteps. Every step echoed through the house, slow and heavy, as if someone was moving carefully, trying not to be noticed. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She whispered to David, "Don't move. Don't make a sound." The little boy buried his face into her arm, trembling with fear. Suddenly, the lamp beside the bed flickered once, twice, and then steadied. Sarah stared at it, her breath caught in her throat. A second later, the television in the living room turned on by itself. From behind the closed door, they could hear the noise of static filling the house. David gasped, "Sarah, who turned it on?" She didn't answer. She had no explanation. The night felt endless for Sarah and David. They sat in their mother's bedroom, too afraid to move or even breathe loudly. Every small sound in the house felt dangerous. Minutes passed like hours. Sarah tried to comfort her little brother, whispering stories to keep him calm, but deep inside, she was terrified herself. Then, finally, they heard the sound they had been waiting for, the front door unlocking. The familiar click of a key in the lock brought both relief and fear. What if it wasn't their mother? What if it was the stranger who had been lurking outside? The door opened, and footsteps entered quickly. A woman's voice called, "Sarah? David? Where are you?" It was her mother. The children rushed out of the room and ran straight into her arms. Tears rolled down their faces as they cried, "Mom, we were so scared." Their mother knelt down and hugged them tightly, shocked by their trembling bodies. At first, she thought they were just imagining things. She tried to calm them, saying, "It's okay. I'm here now. You're safe." But when she walked into the kitchen and saw the broken glass on the floor, her face turned pale. She knew the children had not made up the story. The television was still on, though she had left it turned off. The lamp in her room flickered once more as if mocking her. The atmosphere inside the house felt heavy, almost unnatural. The mother quickly locked every door again and gathered her children close. Guilt filled her heart. She realized she had made a terrible mistake by leaving them alone at night. From that moment, she silently promised herself she would never put her children in such danger again. After calming her children and cleaning the broken glass, the mother tried to understand what had happened. Sarah and David told her everything. The footsteps, the knocking on the door, the shadow at the window, and the flickering lights. At first, she thought maybe it was just their imagination mixed with fear. But deep inside, she felt something was wrong. She remembered the security camera fixed outside, near the front porch. Wanted to be sure, she opened her laptop and connected to the camera recording. Sarah and David sat close to her, holding her arms tightly. As the video played, the mother's heart sank. For hours, while she was gone, a tall man had been standing near their door. He didn't knock like a normal visitor. He just stood there, moving slowly from one side of the porch to the other, sometimes leaning close to the window. At one point, he placed his hand on the glass, leaving a faint mark. The mother gasped in horror. It wasn't the children's imagination. It was real. Someone had been outside the whole time, watching them. But the most chilling part was that the man never tried to break in. He only stood there, silently observing, as if waiting for the right moment. Sarah began crying again, saying, "I told you, Mom. I saw him." The mother hugged her children tightly, her eyes fixed on the screen. She felt anger, fear, and guilt all at once. Quickly, she called the police and reported everything. But by the time they arrived, the stranger was long gone. That night changed everything for the family. The mother realized that danger can come silently, without warning. From then on, she never left her children alone, even for a short time. The ordinary evening had turned into a terrifying memory they would never forget.